Hi, welcome to episode 2 of the I Wait for Money podcast, where we talk about tips and tricks in a system I kind of discovered by waiting on tables that will increase your tips instead of hoping for that measly 20% tip like you used to. You'll be dreading that measly 20% tip and looking for 50, 60, 80, 100% tip on your checks. It's a series of small, subtle things that you do throughout the course of the experience for the guest that all add up to an experience for the guest that they've never had before in their lives, and they will tip you like they've never tipped before in their lives. And then I like to just think about if you think about situations where you have the guest who tips 25, 30% all the time because they're just good tippers, if you get sat with those types of guests, those people who generally tip 25, 30% because they're really good tippers, these are the types of people that will go 80, 90, 100%. If you just get two of those in one night on a good $50 or $60 check, those two tables can make your whole night. And don't forget, you're still going to have all the other tables. So just to recap, in episode 1, we talked about the introduction. The introduction is critical because remember, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And when you come up to that table, a lot of servers will do is they'll say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'll be your server. I'm going to start off by taking your beverage order." Well, that's no good because what you're doing is you're basically telling the table that you're kind of inconveniencing me, but here's what I'm going to do to make it more convenient for me. I'm going to get just beverages right now, and then I'll come back and we'll go from there. Instead, you're going to put the table in the driver's seat, and you're going to say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'll be your server this evening, and the way we can proceed is whatever you're ready for. If you want beverages only to give you more time, then I'll get beverage order, and I'll come back and take your entree order." Or you'll say, "I can take beverages and appetizers, then come back for entree." Or if you guys are all ready, then I can just take it all at once, cut right to the chase. And they really like that, especially the regulars who visit that restaurant frequently. They'll kind of know what they're going to get most times, so they love it to just give it to you all at once. So that's going to be super important. The introduction. And then what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about this today on the podcast episode 2, is what I call a kind of a phrase of like less is more. What that's talking about, less is more, is basically when you're at the table, you're there, you're pretty much all business. You're going to be friendly and everything, but you have a job to do, and you understand that job is to serve them. That job is not to become best friends with them. That job is not to, tell them your life story and basically kind of buttering them up for a good tip will help me so much in my life because I'm a hardworking college kid, or I have 3 kids at home, or whatever it may be. Remember, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, people are going out to eat because they're celebrating something. They're going on another date. Let's say they get to know somebody better, or maybe they're just on a date to spend more time with each other, to get to know each other better, or whatever. But probably 5%, if that, are actually caring about who you are and what you're all about and your life story. Now that may sound cruel, but remember, that's just the matter of fact of the relationship between server and guest. Okay, so don't take that personal. You can actually use that to your advantage by using this episode number 2, what I call less is more. All right, so like I said, you're going to get to the table, take care of business in a professional manner but friendly. And if they do ask you questions, though, how long you've been doing this, whatever, that inevitably happens, then you can, go ahead and do that. But what you want to kind of convey to that table is that you are such a good server that you are super, super busy. And not in a busy way of where like they're irritating you or they're inconveniencing you, but just a way that lets them know, I'm so good at what I'm doing that my other tables are getting the same type of service you're getting, which means I have a million things to do right now. So you're going to be courteous, friendly, and can take care of business, and then move right along in a little bit of a rushed manner too. As soon as you finish at that table, whatever you're doing, dropping off that refill, doing whatever it is, then you're going to kind of hustle away. You don't have to sprint, but in a timely fashion. Okay. What that does is that lets them know that you're working hard instead of you telling them your life story and all that. Lets them know you're working hard, and it also later on it kind of answers the questions of how'd you get so good at this, or where'd you learn this, or whatever. They just see this guy just taking care of business. So less is more. I can't tell you the number of times I've been ready to tip well because I'm a good tipper, and I've seen people ready to tip well, and I've had a waitress or a waiter just totally sabotage their own tip by being annoying. Coming back to the table saying, I really like that purse, blah, blah. I got this purse at a certain place. Or, oh, I really like, what are you guys out for? Oh, that, yeah, when I went out with my boyfriend to this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And they just basically hijack the conversation and they kind of turn the table and make it all about them. And you could just kind of see the looks on the faces of the guests. You're like, oh, okay, like we're interested. But deep down, they're just like, can you move along and let us be on our own so we can talk to each other, enjoy each other's company. I've seen it so many times I can't even tell you. I've even had it happen to myself when I went out to eat with my grandmother and my mother and my wife at a restaurant and I'm a great tipper, ready to have a good time, and catch up with my grandmother who's just got an incredible story, an incredible person. And however, 95% of the time, the server was coming up to our table and she was telling us about this and telling us about this and her new tattoo she got and how her brother's uncle or her brother's friend is a tattoo artist. She got a good deal on it and what it means and on and on. And we were just wanting to visit with each other. And I ended up giving her 20%. And it was, I hardly ever give 20%. 20% is like, when I give 20%, that means you were really annoying or you forgot a bunch of things or you basically ignored us the whole time. And I ended up giving her 20% just because she was so annoying. So remember, less is more. You're going to get to the table, take care of business, do whatever it is you need to do. And what you're going to do by using this system that I'm teaching you over these episodes of the I Wait for Money podcast is eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have this intrigue by the guests, this just innate intrigue about like, how'd you come up with this system, or how'd you figure this out, or how are you so good? Are you like this to all your tables? And they want to know. If they're going to start asking questions, I'd say about like 3/4 of the way through the dining experience. Like, let me ask you a question. So do you do this all at tables? Do you do this? How did you figure this out? How long have you been doing this? Is this all you do? Kind of like this big intrigue of like, okay, you do this for a living. You're really good at it. You must be making good money. How'd you come up with this? Why do you do it? Stuff like that. So they'll start asking little questions, and you can address that, but you're going to address it in a kind of a small talk manner, like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I really just like it, and I've been getting better and better at it. Try to get better as I go along and learn things. Real kind of humble, but then kind of short to the point. All right, not rude, never rude, but short to the point. Humble, and then again with a little bit of a rushed answer, kind of to tell them, yeah, okay, I'd like to tell you a little bit more, but I sure have a refill on this table. I've got this entree about to come out. I got appetizer, got to put in for that table. You don't say all that, but that's kind of what you're conveying is you have these different things to do. So this episode, remember, less is more. You're going to be getting in, getting out. At the very end, though, what I do preach is at the very end, they're really, really happy with their service. They're, going to depart from the restaurant and everything. They have their boxes. They've got the check all taken care of. And then you may have a little bit of conversation with them just to be nice and, kind of tell them how you came across this system and what you've been doing, what you figured out, and you're getting better at this, and you're actually working on a little nuances and tweaks to the system to get it even better. And they really like that because then they see how like serious you take it and how much your passion comes out for it. So they like that. And I'll tell you this is going to happen so many times you have no idea that they are going to then, at the end of it, if you're nice like that, and just give them a little insight on how you figured it out and how it's your passion and you really like it, don't forget, they just gave you a 70-80% tip. Remember that. And you haven't seen the tip yet, but I'm telling you that's what it is. And then they depart from the restaurant, and make no mistake about it, the next time they frequent that restaurant, they will be asking to sit in your section. And these are the types of guests that you get, that you see them out of the corner of your eye. They've been asked to sit in your section. They'll wait. This is like a 10-minute wait tonight. Oh, but if you want to sit in Craig's section, it's about 30 minutes. Is that okay? And they say, sure, And then they'll wait. And then you see them out of the corner of your eye getting sat in your section. And like, okay, there we go. They're going to spend about $40, let's say. They tip about 80%. I'm going to get a $30 check, a $30 tip from that table. So there you are, just like that. And this happens like constantly. So remember, you build up your reputation, you build up a little bit of a customer base. these 80% tips that I've been preaching about, they're going to be coming very, very consistently. And that's how you just make, like I said, you make the most per hour that I've ever made any job that I've ever had. And that goes for teaching mathematics for 10 years, coaching baseball, doing construction, doing landscaping, just all kinds of different jobs. By far, that's why if you just think about a couple of 80% tips or a couple of 100% tips for a night, and then the bad tips being 20%, this is how it all goes. All right. So thanks for joining me on episode 2. Less is more is what I called it. It's being professional at the table, taking care of business, getting out. Episode 3 is going to be what I call the secret weapon of service. Okay. Episode 3 is going to be, just to give you a little preview, episode 3 is basically how I developed the whole thing by total accident, just because, honestly, because of my, a little bit of my OCD, or just my, the way my brain thinks, the way I take criticism. So it's by total accident. Episode 3, we're going to talk about the secret weapon of service, how the whole thing came about. And the whole thing didn't come about because I wanted to make buku bucks. I was a stay-at-home dad, just wanting to get out to the workforce, and I liked waiting tables back from college. So I thought I was good money. It was fun. Let me do that again. And I started doing that. And then I'll tell you on the next episode when the epiphany came to me, and the moment it happened and where I was standing. I can remember which way I was facing, what the table looked like. And then it like dawned on me, and sure enough, I get like an 80% tip. And then the rest of that night, 50%, 40% tips, like over and over. And I thought, wow, I found it. Now, from that point, then I made a lot of adjustments to it, some more tweaks. But next episode, episode 3, the secret weapon of service, we're going to discuss the actual system and the huge like epiphany that came to me, and then develop the whole system from that point forward. All right, thanks again for joining me for episode 2. My name is Craig Daniel, the I Wait for Money podcast. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.